Good morning. It's Monday, January 10th. And this morning I want to talk about the battle within the battle. The major battle that we are having in this country is obviously the coronavirus, COVID-19, Omicron, Delta. But within that battle, there are many other battles going on. But I want to talk about the battle that's going on in the area of education. The education associated with our children, our school children. Now, many of them are vaccinated finally, although it took a while to get a vaccine approved for their age group. They have been getting vaccinated. And so the battle that is going on is whether or not remote learning is a viable alternative to being in the classroom. Now, President Biden and the mayor of New York and the mayor of Chicago, Lori Lightfoot and Eric Adams, have declared that they want the schools to be open. And that's a great declaration. That's a wonderful thing. But keeping the schools open lies in the hands of the districts for the most part. And each district is confronted with a different set of problems. And one of the big problems that is running through the entire system are the parents. When the children are under remote learning, the parents feel that they're not getting the quality of education that they need. It also puts a terrible strain on the work lives of those parents. And I see that as being very valid. However, when they talk about the children and how the children are being affected, they are wrong. Children are very resilient creatures. They're capable of adjusting much better than their parents. In many cases, it's the views of the parents that cause the kids to have problems. Most children can remote learn, and it is not a terrible thing to have to remote learn from time to time. But when you have parents who are dead set against it for a variety of reasons, then they confuse the issue. And the children who are perfectly capable of learning in a distance can do it. But then you have the other side of the coin. You have teachers. And if they don't have enough teachers to keep the schools open, then what are they supposed to do? Are they supposed to let the children come in unsupervised? Or are they supposed to create mob scenes in the auditorium so that you can teach more students than regularly attend the class? No. If you're short-staffed, you have to take different kinds of actions. And the district superintendents who have to make these decisions, it's not easy for them. And then you've got the unions, you've got the teachers' unions, who are objecting to their members could possibly be put in danger if the students show up sick. So it's a big issue, and there is no one solution that fits all. And so what we have to do as people, as parents, as teachers, as educators, as politicians, we have to recognize the fact that this is not a simple problem. We have to trust those who are responsible for the education of our children to make the proper choice. I think it's okay to put out a mandate and say the children must go to school if possible. Now, if possible is tricky. Who is to decide what is possible? Maybe if you had guidance. Maybe if there was something that said, for every teacher, you're allotted to have 20 or 30 students in school. But if you're short a couple of teachers, what are you going to do? In the smaller schools, for instance, if you have one teacher who teaches science and that person is out sick, then you can't have science classes. Or you bring in the substitute. Substitute works remotely. So this is a major issue, a very, very important issue. And it's gotten to be politicized. It's very politicized because it seems like the majority of the Democrats want the schools to be open. And the majority of the Republicans have said nothing. They just go there letting the Democrats hang themselves, so to speak. So you've got Biden, and you've got Lightfoot, and you've got Adams, and you've got several other major Democrats who want to keep the schools open. But that's not going to work all the time. And some schools are on remote now until January 18th, and if nothing's going well, then they won't open on January 18th either. And if you look around the country in all the major cities, it's a similar situation. And then in the suburbs, you've got other problems. So why? Why can't we come together and agree that schools should be open if possible? And that's a terrible sentence, if possible, because the unions, the teachers' unions, have a lot to say in this issue. They don't want their members getting sick. They don't want to put their members at risk. And as the ranks are thinning because they are getting sick, then what are you supposed to do? What are we supposed to do? Can we have the kids take a week off every so often in order to get back to school? I don't know if we can do that. I don't really know. I don't really have all the answers because there are so many diverse situations. Maybe we should just keep quiet and let each school district do whatever they want. And it doesn't matter what they want, really. It doesn't matter what the school districts decide to do. Because no matter what they decide to do, as I have said many times in the past, there will always be 10 or 15% of the people who are not satisfied. There may even be some who say, I don't want my kid going to school, it's dangerous. I'm going to keep him home. So what do you do about that? What if people decide to keep their kids home even though the schools are open? What would you do? What can you do? Look, if you got sick years ago and you couldn't go to school, somebody dropped the homework off at your house maybe on the way home, and you studied at home all by yourself and you got by. And I contend that students are resilient. And the problem with their resiliency is the interference of their parents and the views of their parents. If the parents would let the kids decide for themselves, it might be an entirely different situation. But then the parents would bitch because the kids are not listening to them. So I don't know what all the answers are here. This is a big problem. A great battle within a battle. And in watching my grandson, he doesn't mind. He doesn't mind remote learning. In fact, in a way, it's relaxing for him. He comes down in his pajamas, he learns, he pays attention, he gets good grades. So if he's the example that I wrote by, I say remote learning is not a terrible thing, but not everybody's like my grandchild. Not everybody's like my son and daughter-in-law. And my granddaughter, who's a senior at Wake Forest, is doing fine, and they had a series of remote learnings and everything, and they all did fine. So it's a mixed bag, but it's a battle within a battle, and it's going to rage on. And there are many predicting that the Democrats are going to come out on the short end of the stick in this battle. So since when do we have politics in the middle of education? That's a terrible thought. So in any event, I leave you with that today, and I'll see you in the morning.